Hello fellow hot tub loving YouTubers. Today I thought I'd make a video of my personal system for maintaining a hot tub, and I shouldn't say it's mine because actually I got a lot of these ideas off of the internet, but I worked out a system that has worked really well for my hot tub, and I thought I would share it with people. This kind of got started years ago. A friend of mine gave me his old hot tub, and when him and his wife were buying a new one. And so that kind of got me started. I fell in love with the idea of having that sitting on my deck and coming home and relaxing in that. It was an older tub, and after a while it started to kind of break down. So I found this hot tub. It's a 2003 Marquee Reward model on the internet, on Craigslist, good old Craigslist. That's another little tip. You should also, if you're buying a hot tub, look for one on Craigslist. This one I got a really good deal on. It's probably a $6,800 hot tub that I got from a single guy who got a gal pregnant, had to get married. Gal didn't want hot tub on property with new baby. Guy has to sell hot tub, gets rid of it quick. I got it for, I don't know, probably about $2,600. So that was 9 years ago, and it still looks like new, still works like new. I've had very little problem with it. The problem I did develop in using hot tubs was my skin became very sensitive to the chemicals. I was started out using a bromine floater and, you know, the standard shocking agents that they always have you buy, and it just started to affect my skin. I mean, literally my skin would start to blister and scratch. It was almost like poison ivy type of thing, and I was at the point where I thought I was going to have to give up my hot tub, but I found if I just stuck to chlorine, it didn't bother me so much. But there is no easy way to inject chlorine or to put chlorine into a hot tub. You can't put I bought those little 1-inch tablets and I put them in a floater, and the problem is that if they just dissipate so rapidly that they fill the tub with chlorine and it gets too thick. So I would gauge the thing down till it was just paper thin opening, and you know, I got it down to a pretty good science, but you know, I forget to put a tablet in there, and then you go to use the hot tub after a couple of weeks and it's all murky and nasty looking, and it just drove me crazy. So then I started using just liquid bleach and pouring that in there to try to maintain things, and that was, you know, again, you got to remember to do it. So this technique that I now use is called the triple B method, and what you need is bleach, borax, and baking soda. I have those two out of line or out of order there, but those are the three ingredients, all simple things that you can get at the grocery store. And I can guarantee you can maintain your hot tub perfectly. It doesn't bother my skin at all. The water stays crystal clear. That little dealy bottle with the skull and crossbones on the right is actually muriatic acid, and that's another thing that you should keep on hand because you may need to adjust the pH. But and then I will also show you a modification that I made that really has made life very, very simple. I have to do so little maintenance on this hot tub, it's almost laughable at this point. Filters maybe change once a month depending on how much I use it, and that really has been about it. I hardly ever have to adjust the pH or do any of that stuff. These three ingredients have been a complete and total lifesaver for me as far as using the hot tub. But basically, well, I'm going to put this down for a second. I'm going to open the cover up. I'm going to show you my little secret weapon that has made life really easy. Hang on just a sec. Okay, so as I said, this triple B formula, bleach, borax, and baking soda, has been a lifesaver. The one thing that got to be a little annoying is remembering to add, you know, the measured amount of bleach to the hot tub periodically. I mean, that's something you just tend to forget, and then the water's all murky, and you got to shock it with, you know, kind of a high dose of bleach to try to bring things back under control again. So what I did is I started investigating, and I found a device called a peristaltic pump. They use them a lot with saltwater aquariums, so saltwater aquarium supplies. If you check on Amazon, you can find them, but that's this device right here. And what it does is it just meters out a small amount of bleach that it pumps, it's going out of focus, that it pumps into my hot tub periodically. And the way I hook this up is I have a timer. I got it at Harbor Freight for $9. You can set up to 9 on and off periods a day. I wired that into my control panel, and certainly you probably will want to get, it's hard to see the wires in there, but I have a little pigtail plug that I plugged into, and you probably will want to get an electrician if you're not handy with this stuff. I kind of figure this stuff out for myself for the most part, so I just did that. So what this does is it turns this, and I'll show you what this looks like. Periodically, once a day, it turns the peristaltic pump on. Let me flip that on for a second. So you can see that's it in operation. It just moves very slowly. It's just a rotor in there. There is a flexible tube that runs up along here, and what this does is it just pushes, it rolls. There's 2 rollers on either end, and it just goes around, and it sends little pulses of whatever liquid you want to push through the tubing. Now connected, this is an inlet, this is the outlet. So the inlet, what I've done is I have an old plastic peanut jar in there, and I fill that with bleach. There's a tube that comes out, and that feeds up into the inlet. Then that goes into here, the flexible tube. It's going way out of focus. Flexible tube, that pushes this down, and then there's this clear plastic tube that runs just along here. And what I've done is I also have an ozonator. I think that's important. As you can see, it's a Del Zone. I find those to be a really good model. The MCD50, that's the one I've had, and it works great. But what I did is I put a little fitting, and this is the hose. That is where the ozone connects into the hot tub. And I found another fitting, and you can do this various ways, but I have a fitting that feeds the bleach into there. So the next thing I had to figure out is how much bleach did I add, and that was figured by checking online. I know this hot tub is about 375 gallons, and through various not calculations that I did, but people that have done these things, it needed about roughly an ounce of bleach per day. I know that my pump produces approximately 1.5 mLs per minute. There's 30 mLs in an ounce, so that's where I started. I just figured how many minutes it would take to produce 30 mLs, and that's what I set my timer for. At about 10 o'clock in the morning, it comes on, and actually through trial and error, I figured out that mine needs a little bit less than an ounce, so this pump, or this timer, is set to come on at about 10 o'clock, and I think it shuts off about 10:18. So, 18 times 1.5 mLs, that's the total amount of bleach that I pump in daily. And in doing that, I find that maintains just the perfect, exact amount of bleach that I need in the hot tub. That maintains the levels perfectly, doesn't bother my skin, I don't stink when I get out of there, and it works really well. Again, these pumps, you can find them eBay, aquarium supply shops. Bulk Reef Supply is one. This one was about $54, I think, but of course it just happened the day that I looked, they were having a 50% off sale, so I got it for about $27, which I think is a pretty good deal. Main thing with those peristaltic pumps is you want to know what their output is, kind of roughly. 1 to 2 to 3, 4 mLs per minute I think is fine. If you have one that runs too fast, it's going to be a little hard to set your timer to come on for 1 or 2 minutes a day or something. So I think half the timer set brings the pump on for 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. That seems about right, and it just gently pushes the bleach in there, and it maintains the water perfectly. And I'm going to show you just one more quick demonstration. Let me turn this off and go back to the automatic. I'm going to put a stick, I'm going to turn this off for a second so I can get repositioned here. Alright, so I have a testing strip, and I swear to you I have not added anything to this hot tub in probably 3 weeks. And I'm just going to show you how the chemistry's maintained. Just dip that into the water, and if you hold it up here, and this is really hard to show, but anyway, this is not, it's really hard to do this, and as you can probably tell, I'm not a videographer, but I'll just read them to you, it's easiest. But total hardness says exactly, it's a light purple, exactly where you want it to be. Chlorine is the low OK, which is where I like it. You can go a little higher concentration. The free chlorine is, again, just a very light pink color. It's right where you want it. pH is exactly in the right amount. Alkalinity is perfect, and the stabilizing chemicals that are in there for stabilizing is, again, exactly in the middle where you want it. So if I were setting up a hot tub, what I would do is I'd fill my sorry, this thing is I would fill my hot tub up. I would let it get up to temperature, and I would put a test strip in there, see if it needs increase in pH, decrease in pH, alkalinity, etc., etc. Oh, that's the other thing about these simple chemicals here. If you need to increase the pH, you got to remember you put borax in. And this is plain old borax that you get at the grocery store. It's on the bottom shelf. It comes in a big box. Plain, simple borax is a laundry booster. There's no detergent or anything in there. It's mined out of the ground somewhere out west, I think. And 20 Mule Team Borax is the one that's most popular. So if you need to increase the pH, you add borax. If you need to increase the alkalinity, you add baking soda, which also secondarily increases the pH. And obviously you're going to need to put some bleach in there to start to get your levels up where you want them. If your pH runs off and it gets too high, your chemicals or the dissolved minerals in your water can start precipitating out in your pump and making it less effective or even damaging it. That's where you add the muriatic acid. You get that at the hardware store. Wherever they sell paint and all that kind of stuff tends to be over there. It's cheap, $8 a gallon or something. And you add maybe a half a cup or 3/4 of a cup. I'd probably start with a half a cup. Let your pump run for 15 or 20 minutes and recheck with your test strip. Anytime you add chemicals, you always want to let it run for 10 or 15 minutes at temperature before you make any further adjustments. And doing that makes this really easy, makes having a hot tub a lot more fun and simple to do, and I would highly recommend it. If you have any questions, email me. I'd be happy to answer them. I live in Colorado. We've had a little bit of snow. We're getting some more on Wednesday, but it's February and it's probably almost 60 degrees out here right now, so can't argue with that. Happy hot tubbing, and see you soon. Bye.